Stability analysis. First, let me define what do you mean by zero input response and zero state response. Let us take a linear system. This is linear time invariant system. Correct. Input to the system is R of t. Output of the system is C of t. The system has initial conditions. IC means initial condition. The system has initial condition. The output produced by the initial condition is denoted 1 minute. The response produced by the input is called zero state response. I will write as CF of t. CF of t is zero state response. This is the response produced by the input of the system. When initial condition is made equal to 0. Cn of t is called zero input response or natural response. It is the response produced by initial conditions. When you want to find zero input response, you have to make the input equal to 0. Cn of t. The Cn of t is called zero input response. So the total response of the system is zero state response plus zero input response. You can add both these responses because the system is linear and it obeys the principle of superposition. So I am going to explain what is meant by zero state response. Also called as forced response. The response produced by the input alone. The response produced by the system. The response produced by the input alone is called zero state response. When zero state response is to be found, the initial conditions must be made zero. So zero state response is the response produced by the input alone. When zero state response is to be found, initial conditions must be made zero. Initial conditions could be 2 for a second order system. There could be 3 initial conditions for a third order system and so on. So all initial conditions must be made zero when you want to find zero state response. Next is zero input response. Zero input response or natural response. It is the response produced by initial conditions only. For finding zero input response, the input should be made zero. The system under investigation is linear. Therefore, total response is the sum of forced response and natural response. The system under investigation, is linear and hence obeys the principle of superposition. Thus, total response of the system is C of t is equal to sum of natural response and forced response. When initial conditions are 0, C of t is nothing but Cf of t. When input is 0, C of t is called Cn of t. Now I will go to what is stability. Stability has got two parts. First, I will tell you what is bounded input, bounded output stability. Bounded input, bounded output stability. Also called Bibo stability. Bounded input, bounded output stability. Let us consider an NTI system. NTI means linear time invariant system having impulse response G of t. In signals and systems, impulse response is indicated by H of t. Input is R of t, output is C of t. Correct? What is bounded input? Bounded input is mathematically defined in this manner. Magnitude of R of t is less than or equal to mx, mx less than mr less than infinity. That means at no time the amplitude of R of t shall exceed mr. That means it has a bound. What is bound? Mr. This is called bounded input. Bounded input means magnitude of R of t less than or equal to mr less than infinity. Output is bounded means magnitude of C of t less than or equal to mc less than infinity. This is bounded input. This is bounded input. This is bounded output. Bounded output. I can schematically show a graph. Input is said to be bounded. I can take an input, arbitrary input like this. At no time, the amplitude of the signal can exceed plus mr or minus mr. So what is the bound? Bound is mr. This is bounded input. When you subject the system to bounded input, you may get an output like this. Positive peak is MC, negative peak is minus MC. So what is the bound here? Bound is here MC. So when you subject a system to a bounded input, if the output is bounded, system is said to be Bibo stable. Bounded input means modulus of R of t less than or equal to mr less than infinity. I have taken an example. This is bounded input. This is an example of a bounded input. This is an example of a bounded output. I am going to say a linear time invariant system is said to be stable, is said to be Bibo stable, if and only if, IFF means if and only if the bounded input, if and only if the bounded input produces a bounded output. Bounded input should produce a bounded output. If you give a bounded input and if the output is unbounded means output shows no tendency to decrease, it keeps on increasing. This is an example of unbounded output. It keeps ever increasing like a ramp function. This is unbounded output. So an LTI, a linear time invariant system, is said to be Bibo stable if and only if a bounded input produces a bounded output. So there is a theorem for this. A theorem I am going to prove. First let me state that theorem, then I will give the proof. Theorem for Bibo stability. Theorem for Bibo stability. Statement: a linear time invariant system is said to be Bibo stable. If and only if its impulse response G of t, impulse response G of t is absolutely integrable. That is integration from minus infinity to plus infinity. Modulus of G of tau d tau is less than infinity. A linear time invariant system is said to be Bibo stable if and only if its impulse response G of t is absolutely integrable. That is integration from minus infinity to plus infinity. Modulus of G of tau d tau is less than infinity. I am going to prove this now. Proof. This is figure number 1. Proof. This is a statement. Let us consider an LTI system. LTI means linear time invariant system having an impulse response G of t as shown in figure 1. LTI system is a very important statement because output of an LTI system can be obtained by convoluting the input R of t and the impulse response. The impulse response g of t is convoluted with input r of t to produce the response C of t. To produce the response C of t, and convolution is applicable only for NTI system. That is C of t is equal to G of t convoluted with R of t. This is the symbol for convolution. Your teacher in signals and systems will teach you convolution in a great detail. What is convolution? Convolution means in the first function replace t by tau. In the second function replace t by t minus tau. In the first function replace t by tau, that means in g of t replace t by tau. In the second function, that is in r of t, replace t by t minus tau. Multiply the two functions, then integrate the product with respect to tau from minus infinity to plus infinity. This is called convolution integral. This is called convolution integral. This equation I will call as equation 1. Taking magnitudes on both sides of equation 1 gives magnitude of C of t equal to magnitude of integration from minus infinity to plus infinity g of tau into r of t minus tau d tau. When we take this magnitude inside the integral, is equal to sign becomes the inequality less than or equal to. This implies magnitude of C of t less than or equal to integration from minus infinity to plus infinity on modulus of g of tau into r of t minus tau d tau. So if you move this modulus inside the integral, equal to becomes less than or equal to. The magnitude of AB is equal to magnitude of A into magnitude of B. Therefore, this equation becomes magnitude of C of t less than or equal to integration from minus infinity to plus infinity modulus of g of tau into modulus of r of t minus tau d tau. This I will call equation 2. Let R of t be a bounded input. Let R of t be a bounded input. That is, magnitude of R of t less than or equal to mr less than infinity. This is the mathematical meaning of saying an input R of t is bounded. Replace t by t minus tau. So modulus of R of t minus tau less than or equal to mr less than infinity. This is equation 3. Substituting equation 3 in equation 2 gives magnitude of C of t less or equal to integration from minus infinity to plus infinity magnitude of g of tau d tau multiplied by mx. If integration from minus infinity to plus infinity modulus of g of tau d tau is less than infinity, then modulus of C of t will be less than infinity, implying C of t is a bounded output. Hence the theorem. Next is relationship between Bibo stability and poles. Let us consider an open loop system having the transfer function g of s is equal to 10 into s plus 4 divided by s minus 1 into s plus 2 into s plus 3. The poles of g of s, h of s, the poles of g of s I shall plot it in the s plane. S plane is a complex plane having real axis sigma, imaginary axis j omega. We have a pole at s equal to 1, we have a pole at s equal to minus 2, and a pole at s equal to minus 3, and a 0 at s equal to minus 4. This is the symbol for poles, and this is the symbol for zeros. So this is a right half pole. This is a right half pole, means pole lying on the right hand side of the S plane. This I call figure number 2. The poles and zeros of G of S are shown in figure 2. Using the theory of partial fractions, we may write G of S is equal to K1 divided by S minus 1 plus K2 divided by S plus 2 plus K3 divided by S plus 3, where K1, K2 and K3 are the constants associated constants associated with partial fraction expansion. Partial fraction expansion, where K1, K2 and K3 are the constants associated with partial fraction expansion. This I call equation 1. Taking inverse Laplace transform on both sides of equation 1 gives g of t is equal to k1 into e to the power t plus k2 into e to the power minus 2t plus k3 into e to the power minus 3t, t greater or equal to 0. This I call equation 2. The condition for an LTI system, to be Bibo stable is integration from minus infinity to plus infinity, modulus of g of tau d tau less than infinity. This is the condition. Let us substitute, let us now find, this I will call equation 2. Let us now find integration from minus infinity to plus infinity, modulus of g of tau d tau for g of t in equation 2. For g of t in equation 2. That is integration from minus infinity to plus infinity, modulus of g of tau d tau equals, the lower limit will become 0 because g of t is defined only for t greater or equal to 0. So instead of minus infinity, the lower limit becomes 0. K1 into e to the power t, e to the power tau, plus k2 into e to the power minus 2 tau plus k3 into e to the power minus 3 tau, modulus of this d tau. Let me sketch e to the power minus 3 tau. When tau is equal to 0, it is 1. As tau tends to infinity, it becomes 0. That means plot of e to the power minus 3 tau with respect to tau is always above tau axis. Means always it is positive. Therefore, modulus of e to the power minus 3 tau is same as e to the power minus 3 tau. Because the plot of e to the power minus 3 tau versus tau is above tau axis. Correct? Even if you take modulus of e to the power minus 3 tau, the curve will not change. That means this modulus can be dispensed off. So this equation can be written as integration from minus infinity to plus infinity, modulus of g of tau d tau is equal to k1 into integral 0 to infinity e to the power tau d tau plus k2 integral 0 to infinity e to the power minus 2 tau d tau plus k3 integration from 0 to infinity e to the power minus 3 tau d tau. So this is nothing but k1 into e to the power tau limits from 0 to infinity plus k2 e to the power minus 2 tau by minus 2 limits from 0 to infinity plus k3 e to the power minus 3 tau by minus 3 limits from 0 to infinity. If you put limits, you get infinity. E to the power infinity is infinity. If you put upper limit e to the power minus infinity 0, if you put lower limit, you get 1. So it is half into k2. If you put limits for this one, you get 1 by 3 into k3. The result is become infinity. This implies integration from minus infinity to plus infinity. Modulus of g of tau d tau is not bounded. Means unbounded. Which means equation 2 is not satisfied. This implies equation 2 is not satisfied. Which in turn implies open loop control system. Which implies open loop control system is unstable. Why modulus of g of tau d tau when integrated from minus infinity to plus infinity is unbounded? Because of this integral. Why that integral has come into play? Because of the pole on the right hand side of the S-plane. If this pole were on the left hand side of the S-plane, even this integral would have given a finite value, with not infinity. Therefore, we now conclude, for an open loop system to be stable, no pole of g of s should lie on the right hand side of the S-plane. It may be noted that g of t is not absolutely integrable. That means integration from minus infinity to plus infinity, modulus of g of tau d tau less than infinity is not absolutely integrable. Because integration from 0 to infinity e to the power tau d tau equals infinity. This integral has come into play because of the right of pole at s is equal to 1. Therefore, we now conclude for an open loop system to be Bibo stable, no pole of g of s shall lie on the right hand side of the S-plane. Very important statement. So for an open loop system to be Bibo stable, no pole of g of s shall lie on the right hand side of the S-plane. Next is zero input stability. So we have got the condition for Bibo stability. Next I will teach you zero input stability. For a system to be zero input stable, its zero input response or natural response should be bounded and should tend to zero as t tends to infinity. For a system to be zero input stable, its zero input response or natural response should be bounded and should tend to zero as t tends to infinity. If all the poles of G of S lie on the LHS left hand side of the S plane, then the open loop system will be zero input stable. That means when the system is subjected to initial conditions, the output of the system should be bounded and should tend to zero as t tends to infinity. I told earlier, initial conditions will give rise to an output. That output is called zero input response. Even that response should be bounded and should tend to zero as t tends to infinity. Please note that zero input stability is also called asymptotic stability. The reason for bringing in this asymptotic stability definition is as t tends to infinity, zero input response should tend to zero. Since as t tends to infinity, zero input response tends to zero, zero input stability is also known as asymptotic stability. Asymptotic stability. A system is stable means it should be Bibo stable as well as zero input stable. An open loop system is said to be stable if it is Bibo stable, as well as zero input stable. If it is Bibo stable and zero input stable is better, and zero input stable. So if you say a system is stable means when the system is subjected to input, output should be bounded. Also, when the system is subjected to initial conditions, output should be bounded and should tend to zero. Correct. The condition for an open loop system to be stable is no poles of G of S shall lie on the right hand side of the S plane. Right hand, no poles of G of S shall lie on the right hand side of the S plane. Next, I will tell you what is marginal stability or limited stability. A system is said to be marginally stable if no poles of G of S lie on the right hand side and remaining pole and the poles lie on J omega axis non-repeatedly. What I mean is, now let me tell you the condition for marginal stability. No pole on RHS, right hand side. The poles lie on J omega axis, poles lie on few poles lie on J omega axis non-repeatedly, means one pole at one location on the J omega axis. However, the complex poles will always be conjugate poles. Let us say we have got a system having 6 poles. 2 poles are on the left hand side, remaining poles are on J omega axis non-repeatedly. These are called simple poles. Then the system is said to be marginally stable. A system, I am going to write an open loop system. An open loop system is said to be marginally stable, marginally or limitedly stable, if no poles of G of S lie on the right hand side of the S plane and poles lie on J omega axis non-repeatedly. When the poles lie on J omega axis non-repeatedly, they are called simple poles. This is, from this pole diagram we can conclude the system under investigation is limitedly stable or marginally stable. This I call figure 3. Example. In figure 3, two poles of G of S and four poles of G of S lie on LHS of the S plane and remaining poles lie on the J omega axis non-repeatedly. In figure 3, two poles of G of S lie on left hand side of the S plane and remaining poles lie on J omega axis non-repeatedly. Hence, this system is marginally stable. An open loop system is said to be marginally or limitedly stable if no poles of G of S lie on the right hand side of the S plane and poles lie on J omega axis non-repeatedly. In figure 3, two poles of G of S lie on left side of the S plane and remaining poles lie on j omega axis non-repeatedly. This means these poles are simple poles, means non-repeated poles. This is the condition for a system to be marginally stable. So, see the two important things I have told you, what is BIGO stability and zero input stability to begin with. Then I brought in the concept of marginally stable. Marginally stable means what it means physically. Physically, a system is stable means system is working. Aircraft is stable means aircraft is operational. System is unstable means the dead aircraft. System is marginally stable means, correct, it is on the verge of becoming unstable. It is on the verge of becoming unstable. It is on the verge of becoming unstable. I'll give a physical example now. See, we have got a valley. Inside this valley, we have kept a ball. You give a push to the ball, that means input is finite. The ball will oscillate up and down because of the friction of the walls. It will come back to equilibrium position. That means the ball is said to be stable. If you keep the ball on this knife edge, a small disturbance of the ball can make the ball to lose its equilibrium position. That means it will never come back to the original position. And this is said to be a marginally stable system. If you keep a ball on a ramp like this, the ball will never come back to equilibrium position, it will keep on rolling. Therefore, this represents an unstable system. This represents a stable system. This represents a marginally stable system. Now, I explained the concept of stability with respect to an open loop system. The same can be extended for a closed loop system also. The same concept can be extended. The same concept can be extended for a negative feedback system also. Negative feedback system means closed loop system. Let us take a negative feedback system having the input R of S, forward path transfer function G of S, output C of S, feedback transfer function H of S. This is figure number 4. Consider a negative feedback system as shown in figure 4. The closed loop transfer function of this system is C of S divided by R of S is equal to T of S is equal to C of S to R of S is equal to G of S divided by 1 plus G of S H of S. The poles of T of S are nothing but the roots of the characteristic equation 1 plus G of S H of S equal to 0. Hence, for a closed loop system to be stable, it is required that the closed loop poles are roots of the characteristic equation should not lie on the right hand side of the S-plane. This is the criterion for a closed loop system to be stable. Thank you.